My name is Corinne. Believe it or not, at 34, I have recently become obsessed with the boy band. I want to share a bizarre story that happened to me 7 years ago. Back then, I was dating Ronald, who was the same age as me. We had been together for 2 years already. We both worked at the same bank, not to sound snobbish, but we were both pretty successful. As a couple, we were thriving both financially and career-wise at a young and vibrant age of 27. Naturally, we were both seriously considering marriage, or at least I was. However, no matter how long I waited, Ronald never proposed. Not only that, our dates started becoming less frequent. Eventually, he even stood me up. Worse yet, it was the day we were supposed to go see a movie I had been wanting to watch. It wasn't just about missing the movie. I felt like my feelings were being disregarded. I knew for a fact that Ronald wasn't busier than usual at work. If anything, his career seemed to be on a decline, especially compared to his colleagues. To put it simply, it had been overtaken by other coworkers. To make matters more complicated, I was getting signals at work that a promotion was coming my way. I couldn't help but think, am I going to hurt Ronald's pride with my promotion? Despite being angry about being stood up, I kept making excuses for him. After all, sometimes it's healthy to have some space in a relationship, right? Or so I thought. Fast forward 3 weeks. It was our first date since that infamous no-show. Ronald was late again. When I called him, he simply said, "Sorry, I forgot. I'll be there soon." Huh? Again? Annoyed, but not wanting to fight, I waited at the restaurant we agreed upon. When Ronald finally showed up, he seemed distracted, as if his mind was elsewhere. I couldn't enjoy our time together. Every time we seemed to connect, he'd pick up his phone and start scrolling. How many times did you text this person today? The entire time, our eyes hardly met. He didn't even notice that I'd put extra effort into my hair and wore a dress I never wear to work. It's like he wouldn't have noticed if I was replaced by a teddy bear. That's what the atmosphere was like. Recently, I noticed that Ronald had been checking his phone frequently at work. I never contact him while I'm at work. Before diving into work, Ronald rarely checked his mobile phone. He always said it's because it would break his concentration. This is what he himself said. So when I saw him on his phone during our date, I wondered, is he giving up on his career? I felt anxious as if it was happening to me. Is he just not into this job anymore? On a date, of all times, what's with this attitude, darling? Isn't this too careless, especially towards your girlfriend? I felt increasingly annoyed by his indifference, and I decided to speak up. So, Ron, I've found someone I like. Excuse me? Like it's straight from a book. He told me he likes someone else. I then say, "Oh, that's nice. Who is she?" "I think it would be miserable for us to stay together if neither of us intends to marry. It's better if we're with someone we actually like." It seemed he didn't realize how absurd it was to say he'd found someone else. What he says boils down to, "I've been keeping a marriageable woman at my side with no intention to marry." "I'm sure you understand." "No, I don't understand. At all." I replied without missing a beat. My tone was harsh. Anger took over me. Ronald seemed slightly taken aback. "What do you mean you found someone else? A coworker?" I started peppering him with questions like a child. He stammered. "I have a right to know. Are you just interested in her, or is this someone you already are involved with?" I didn't want to say it. Was he two-timing me? I felt torn between wanting to forget him and the fact that I still had feelings for him. I hated myself for not being able to despise him completely. "No, I haven't cheated on you." I felt somewhat relieved. He wasn't lying. So is he infatuated with someone? Naturally, I asked Ronald about that as well. Then Ronald dropped a bombshell. "I've realized I won't be able to advance further in my career, so I'm considering an arranged marriage with someone from a good family background." What? I was speechless. I never expected him to say something like that. Any remaining feelings I had for Ronald vanished. My older brother left home because he couldn't get along with our parents. They have high hopes for me and I want to meet their expectations, but I can't do it alone anymore. Marriage might be the answer. Maybe climbing another ladder somewhere else. He tried to explain. Ronald always acts like such a goody two-shoes, who's all about family values, and I was getting tired of it. Who does this guy think he is? Even though we're the same age, all I see now is a man who's not even a lover anymore. Just a guy trying to marry into money because he knows he's lacking. My parents set me up in an arranged marriage with the daughter of a major furniture company CEO, and I knew she was the one. That's gotta be the shallowest "she's the one" I've ever heard. He's only after her family's wealth, isn't he? What happened to love? So you're not in love with a person, but a wallet? My gaze toward Ronald grows icier by the second. Ronald seems to notice, looking increasingly uncomfortable. So he does feel a bit guilty, but the conversation reaches an unbelievable climax. Given that we're getting married, I'd like us to break up. What? How many times am I going to have to say what today? If he wasn't two-timing me, we shouldn't have been dating. He only met her through an arranged marriage setup. So they've decided to get married? This might have happened among old nobility who married without ever having dated, but we're in the 21st century now. What's going on? Did your family time travel or something? So you're not even dating her, but you're getting married? Well, her parents said yes, so they told me to break up with you, Corin. Parents? Again? How old are you? How obedient can you be? I'm getting frustrated. But then it strikes me. I've heard a similar story recently. As Ronald begins to falter, I crack a smile. I'll break up with you, but you have to introduce me to her right now. You at least know her contact info, right? He looks panicked, not knowing what I'm thinking. If you don't, I won't break up with you. I press on. I would happily break up with him, but I had my suspicions. If I'm right, and I'm pretty sure I am. I concealed a grin as I imagined what would happen next. And indeed, despite Ronald's objections, I succeeded in getting him to call over his arranged marriage partner. Ronald suddenly stands up, looking past me. I realized his arranged partner must have arrived and quickly turned around. I burst into laughter, clutching my stomach. I know it's not ladylike, but I couldn't help it. His arranged partner also recognizes me and exclaims, Corin? Oh, I knew it. I was thinking this sounded familiar. There aren't many heiresses in this neighborhood having arranged marriages, you know. Laughing heartily, I approach my arranged marriage partner, take her hand, and guide her towards our table. Ronald, looking utterly confused, keeps repeating, What? What? Frederica, if you didn't say no yet? In response to my comment, Frederica, my arranged marriage partner, or should I say, just Frederica, stomps her feet and says, I've been saying I really don't want this. You should just tell the truth, I suggest. What if they object? Frederica replies. Watching our exchange, Ronald interrupts. Hold on. What's going on? Why are Miss Frederica and you, Corin, chatting like you know each other? Are you acquaintances? Sisters. What? Ronald's eyes widen, unable to keep up with my straightforward answer. Look, Frederica is my fraternal twin sister. You are proposing to my sister. What? But you have different last names. Stop lying. Ronald starts to get heated, and I playfully calm him down, saying, Whoa. No point in lying about this. Just chill. I am chill, but you have different last names and you don't even look alike. Or do you? Apparently he's starting to see the resemblance. He keeps comparing our faces. I don't blame him. Most people have the same reaction when they see us sisters. Not all twins look like copies of each other, you know. There are many twins who don't look alike. There was a time when I mentioned our parents got divorced when I was in high school. I never talked about having a sister. Mom took me and Dad took Frederica. That's why we have different last names. No way, such a story. I didn't want this story either. A love triangle involving my sister and an arranged marriage. But it perfectly matches what I heard from Frederica the other day. I can't help but suppress a laugh. This time, I just let it out. Corinne, listen, don't get me wrong. It's not like I want to be with him or anything. Feeling sorry for her, I reply, "It's okay, I understand. I heard everything. Just tell him the truth." Frederica takes a sigh of relief and faces Ronald. "Mr. Ronald, I apologize. I'm already in a committed relationship." "What?" Ronald's mouth stays open as if it's broken. He just repeats, "What?" losing all vocabulary. "I hadn't settled on a marriage yet, so I didn't tell Dad. Then this arranged marriage happened. I'm really sorry, Ronald. I can't be with you." Despite being an heiress, Frederica, who isn't the brightest bulb, rejects Ronald with very straightforward language. I burst into laughter, holding my stomach while Ronald stands there in disbelief. "Impossible. Impossible." Confused Ronald and a relieved yet hesitant Frederica make quite the picture. Miss Frederica, could you consider?" "Sorry, I can't do it. I came to tell you that today." Frederica apologizes, yet the word "can't" comes out with undeniable force. Ronald freezes, eyes wide, as if he's lost his soul. His expression is so funny, it's painful to look at. Stomach and throat hurt from trying not to laugh. "Can you at least tell me why you can't?" Ronald persists, wanting a reason despite the blunt "can't." It's clear that his motivation has nothing to do with affection for Frederica. I feel contempt more than disbelief at his obvious desire for Frederica's wealth. Probably because everything about you is a no-go. Frederica's boyfriend is a successful entrepreneur, a CEO of an IT company. She's not going to choose a man like you who's looking to marry up. Everyone thinks her current boyfriend is the better choice. I throw Frederica a lifeline, to which she shyly replies, "I really like him. His face, his personality, everything. That's why it won't work." In other words, she's indirectly telling Ronald she doesn't like anything about him. As for Ronald, well, his face isn't bad, but his personality is another story. I totally get why Frederica wants to end things this way. Besides, my boyfriend isn't looking for an arranged marriage. I just found out you were dating Corinne. Marrying someone who would betray her is just unthinkable. The sharpest no Frederica has ever delivered. I almost applaud. "Corinne, can I go? I have plans with him." Frederica says. "Yeah, sure. Take care," I reply. Ronald tries to stop her, but Frederica firmly apologizes and leaves. "All right, I'm leaving too. Take care," I say to Ronald, but he doesn't react. Maybe he's too shocked to be interesting anymore? Listen, one last thing. My mom originally had an arranged marriage with my dad. Know what that means? Finally, Ronald meets my eyes, looking confused. It means my mom's family was prestigious enough to arrange a marriage with a CEO like my dad. My mom is now the CEO of a company allied with Dad's. Yes, our parents married to strengthen their company's alliances. Mom was the second daughter. She wasn't supposed to be a CEO, but the eldest son's health issues and the company's poor performance changed that. And this happened 6 months ago. Ronald didn't know because I felt it was irrelevant to us. "What? Then you are—" Facing a pale Ronald, I flash a peace sign and smile. "Yep, I'm the heiress you were after. Bye now." Just as I'm about to leave, "Wait, I was wrong. I realized you're the one for me after all." Ronald blocks my way, clutching the hem of my dress. The apology feels cheap. Listen, I'm not some cheap woman who'll marry anyone with money. I don't want a man who's less competent than me and aiming to marry up. No, thank you. I angrily yelled, "Don't you ever touch me again," and shrugged off the hem of my skirt he had grabbed. I heard Ronald sobbing from behind me saying, "It wasn't supposed to be like this." But I didn't turn back. Later, I spread the story at work in a lighthearted manner. One colleague praised me. "Go Corinne!" While another encouraged me. "You did the right thing breaking up. I can introduce you to someone nice." As my reputation soared, Ronald's image and standing plummeted beyond repair. He lost the trust of our boss, and his career prospects took a nosedive. The gossip even reached other branches where Ronald's classmates worked, making matters worse. Since Ronald brought this upon himself, no one took his side, no matter how much he was badmouthed. Before I knew it, the rumor evolved. He proposed to triplets and tried to marry them all. What a loser! In reality, they were twins, and the proposal was a bit of a stretch. But the guy was a jerk regardless, so I didn't bother to correct the rumor. Eventually, Ronald felt so ostracized he resigned. In a tough job market, he struggled to find a new job. And when he did, the workplace went bankrupt. I heard he's still unemployed. What a waste of his so-called elite status. Meanwhile, Frederica introduced her boyfriend to Dad and got married amid comments like, "Why didn't you introduce this amazing guy sooner?" I also got promoted and was climbing the corporate ladder that Ronald had abandoned. When I was past 30, I married an accountant a coworker introduced me to, and quit my job to focus on raising our 2 daughters. I could afford to be a stay-at-home mom thanks to my husband's hard work. Back when I was in my 20s, I had dreamt of marrying an elite banker, and I've been restless in my indecisive relationship. Now I'm grateful I didn't end up with a man who's like a fruit fly, attracted only to what others have. Marrying in haste can turn out to be a mistake. Now I plan to share my experiences with my daughters, teaching them to steer clear of men who are only after marital gains.